What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video on Lexalexus. Today it is the championship review for match day 5. We've got some games to really talk through. I've been lucky enough to live stream 2 of those games this weekend. The 3 PM kick-off watch along was also crazy as well, and I feel really happy now I can really digest it all into one video. With the prediction league, I'm still calculating the points, but you will see an update for that and the Premier League prediction league in a community tab. So make sure your notifications are turned on so you don't miss a single video or post that I make in my community tab. If you guys like what you see, please give the video a like if you're just trying to get on the channel. Please do hit the subscribe button if you've not done so. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. If we can get there, that'd be absolutely amazing if we can do that. And please also share the channel too, that also really helps as well. But without any further ado, let's start reviewing what went on in this weekend's championship games. Let's start off with Norwich and Millwall. It ended as a very comfortable 2-0 victory to Norwich in the end. If you could see the attack momentum there, you can get a very strong idea that Norwich actually were pretty comfortable throughout the whole game. Whilst Millwall had spells of good touches, they didn't offer enough of a threat, in my opinion, that were really going to trouble Norwich. And whilst Norwich got their first goal, which was scored by Josh Sargent in the second half, the first half was very bad. I've got to be honest, it was one of the worst first halves I've seen in recent history. We weren't really seeing too many chances go by. As you can see there, we had 12 shots from Norwich in that first half. But if you look in shots on target, 0 to Norwich and 1 for Millwall. And that turned out to be only 1 of 2 of Millwall's shots on target in the entire game. And whilst Norwich didn't shoot as much in the second half, as you can see, only 6 shots more this time, they had 3 more on target and 2 of those chances came to goals. Josh Sargent, as I said with the first one, brilliant link-up play actually with Dow to start things off. Sinani doing a brilliant pass to find Sargent running through into the box. Scores to make it 1-0. The second goal came in when Millwall overcommitted. It was their best spell of the game. They had a pretty close opportunity, but it was literally from Millwall's attack in the left-hand side. Kieran Dow once again driving forward the left-hand side this time, finding an exquisite pass to find Sargent. He doesn't miss from the close range he did. That made it 2-0 and game over for Millwall. So this win puts Norwich in 8th place of the table, 7 points and only 1 point over top 6 now. That is 2 wins in a row for Norwich as well. And we've called this before, but Norwich start the season very slowly, but then they slowly but surely climb their way up the table. As with Millwall, 10th place they find themselves now. Away from home, I'm really struggling to be convinced with them so far this season. So I definitely think that is what they really got to work on there. They only picked up 1 away point so far, which, to be fair, they were 2-0 down away from home against Swansea anyway, so probably a bit lucky they even got an away point. So for Mill going forward, if they want to be up there in the top 6, they really got to work on that away form. Let's go to the 3 PM kickoffs now. Let's start off with Birmingham and Wigan, which ended as a 1-0 away victory to Wigan. They pick up their first win of the season, and this is Birmingham's first defeat at home this season as well. So this game was full of firsts, and I honestly thought it was going to go one way when Wigan were down to 10 men 10 minutes in, with Joe Bennett with a professional foul last man. I believe it was actually Jukovic that was going forward there, or could have been Scott Hogan. One of the strikers for Birmingham went one-on-one, and Joe Bennett dragged the player down, got a straight red card, and following that, they made a tactical substitution already. McGuinness going off and Nyambe going on, so it was most definitely a formation change. But despite that, Birmingham just probed forward, as you can see with their attacking play, but never looked like that they were going to get anything. Wigan scored just with that tiny bit of attack momentum spike there. Broadhead in the 82nd minute, which would have been probably around there actually. So the fact that Birmingham fell flat in an attacking sense, considering they had an extra man on the pitch, but 80 minutes, it's not very encouraging for me in my opinion. As you can see, 14 shots to 5, 4 shots on target to 2. Possession is pretty convincing there. 0 shots on target in the first half. What a boring first half that would have been. pretty much all of the action came within the second half, to be honest. And Wigan, only had 2 shots on target, and it only turned out that one of those shots on target was their goals. Wigan overtake Birmingham now with their first win of the season, 6 points, and still unbeaten in the league. Only 2 goals conceded there, opening 4 games as well, which is 1 goal conceded every 2 games, which is actually not a bad record for them at the moment. Birmingham struggling a little bit, down in 18th place now. Winless in their last 3 as well. And with their first home defeat coming in the way that they did, Birmingham really need to learn to kill games off, because I do think this team's got potential. Placheta looks a decent player in this team. I definitely think they've got some good options. Trustee's also had a good start, but they need to learn to kill games off, and I don't know if Jukovic, Hogan, Deeney, all these strikers are necessarily going to be the right options for Birmingham to try kill games off in the future. How are we going to digest this first Lancashire derby of the season? It's a madness, I'll tell you that. It ended Burnley 3, Blackpool 3. Burnley were 3-1 up at half-time, but Blackpool somehow snuck a 2-goal comeback in the second half, and they managed to get a point. I've got to say, this Blackpool team's got grit. They really do, and I think I've really underestimated Blackpool with how competitive they were going to be in this game. We're going through all the goals in order, so Brownhill and Teller put Burnley to a quick lead within 11 minutes, but Corbinu 10 minutes later makes it 2-1. Teller, with continuous brilliant first half performance, makes it 3-1, and that's when it went to half-time 3-1. But Shane Lavery makes things very, very interesting, 74 minutes to make it 3-2. And then 2 minutes after that, it is Jerry Yates, who missed a penalty very, very recently. He managed to convert his chance this time to make it 3-3. And just like that, within 2 minutes, being 3-1 down, 3-3. Just like that, and obviously it got to a couple of feisty challenges there. Sonny Carey gets sent off to a challenge he did on Ian Matson, but Ian Matson completely, violent contact, just loses his head and pushes Sonny Carey to the ground there. It's something I've not seen Ian Matson do, and I've watched him for quite a good number of years as well. I know he's got a red card in him, but never from him losing his cool like that. I do think Carey getting sent off is a bit harsh. I think Matson's red card was a little bit more justified. Albeit, it was a really frustrating day for Burnley, especially for how good Nathan Teller was to get those 2 goals. But Blackpool did well to stay in the game, and they did really, really well actually to finally get something against Burnley. It would have been a really good time and good vibes for them to finally play against Burnley for, I don't even recall the last time that Burnley played against Blackpool, probably since 2014, so a long, long time ago. 13 shots to 12, so looking at this, looking how close it was, look at 8 shots on target. So Blackpool, whilst they only had 29% of the ball, Blackpool going forward, nailed it, I felt. And I think what most teams are figuring out to do against Burnley is to sit back, win the ball, and hit on the break. And that is exactly what Blackpool have done. If you see this there, 4 big chances to 3, but only 1 of those big chances missed, and 2 big missed chances for Burnley, which is very, very significant in terms of them not being so clinical there. As you can see in the table, Blackpool actually ahead of Burnley so far. They're in 11th, but Burnley sit at a low 16th place with only their win in the season coming in the opening day, but they're winless in 4. So Vincent Company needs to do quite a fair bit to turn this around. Definitely, I think, his trickiest patch so far in the season. But as with Blackpool, they will take everything right now to finish around the top half of the table. The king of the 0-0 draws strikes again in Preston North End. It's their 4th 0-0 draw, and still only 1 goal scored in their opening 5 games. It's a snooze fest to watch Preston, and actually in all of their home games they've not scored a single goal. I feel bad for their home fans who paid good money for their tickets, and they've still not seen a goal for Preston in their new season. All their goals so far this season have come in away games in the Carabao Cup, and even their 1-0 win over Luton Town as well. As you can see from Watford's team, it was a heavily changed team. It looks like Ismail Assar is going to go to Aston Villa, with João Pedro looking a little bit more likely he could join Newcastle. So Watford's team, I think, is going to have a lot of change, and Issouf Bayo and Raymond Ash has really got to try and step up to the role that Sarr and Dennis, all did, and João Pedro as well. We were talking about them having the best front 3 in the league, but now it looks like the teams above in the Premier League are going to snatch all 3 of them. So devastating for Watford perspective there, potentially going forward. But they did well in the end to get a point, I would say. I think if you look at the stats there, Watford just edged the possession, but look how close it was. 12 shots to 10, 4 shots to 2 on target. So Preston creating many big chances. Actually have created one of the most big chances out of all teams in the league. But have scored by far the less goals. So that really puts a lot of shame on the likes of Johnson, Parrott and Reece Jacobson to not chip in with the goals, and any of the other team as well. Watford find themselves in second place, despite with all of the players that have been taken out of the squad now by the looks of things. Watford to still be second have done all right for themselves there. Preston in ninth, still unbeaten, but right now, look at those 4 draws there. Have they even got a goal or a win in any of those? Preston will be looking in a very strong position. Defensively, they're looking really good this year. They just need to work on the other end and get some goals. Rotherham continue to stretch their unbeaten run to 4 games. They draw 1-1 to QPR. Looking at these performances there, it does give me a sign that QPR definitely had the better and stronger chances. But Rotherham always found a way to compete. And I've got to say, I've got to apologise to Rotherham. I think I've really underestimated their worth in the Championship this year. You know, only having 39% of the ball, but having 2 shots on target and 6 shots, they've looked very clinical going forward. I wouldn't be surprised if they're right up there for being one of the most clinical teams in the league. If you see in the table, you know, they've already scored 6 goals this season. You know, that is over 1.5 goals a game, which is really good for a newly promoted team. With QPR, 17 shots, 5 on target. It was Chris Willock that managed to equalise 10 minutes after Ogbene managed to get the opening goal for Rotherham, who he has had a great season so far. That's at least 2 goals that he's scored, you know, in his last 2 games or so. In fact, that's at least 3, because that is 3 games that he scored a goal, actually. Their other game that they didn't score was that 0-0 draw with Preston. So in any other game, Ogbene has actually been on the score sheet. So he's done a really good start to the season. If you see here, 9 corners to 3, it really gives me a vibe that QPR looked better, but they just couldn't really finish their tee and get a goal to edge them with the win. And because of this, still only 1 win they've got so far this season, which was that amazing 3-2 win over Middlesbrough. With Rotherham still unbeaten in the league, 3 draws though and only 1 win, but it's seen them in a very comfortable place in the table so far. So Rotherham, keep doing what you're doing, because you never know, Rotherham could potentially have a really good season in the Championship. It's another defeat, a 1-0 defeat to Reading, where Reading continue their 100% run at home, and it was a quality goal as well by Tyrese Forner. You question the defending from Bowler. He really does a pathetic attempt to try and head a clearance, but it falls very generously to Forner. The half volley strikes it so well in the bottom corner to make it 1-0 to Reading. It was such a quality moment. As you can see with Middlesbrough, they only really didn't start getting control and looking likely to score in the final periods based on this attack momentum there. Bouzanis was having his first appearance in goals since signing from Sutton United, and he's kept a clean sheet in his first game. So Joe Lumley may have to be demoted to second choice goalkeeper right now. Get a comfortable goalkeeper. You keep clean sheets by the looks of things there. Middlesbrough had 16 shots, 3 on target each. And I do think part of their problem is just they're not having a striker capable in this level to be the competent striker to finish and score in every single game. Now, we have been told that it is Rodrigo Muniz who has joined from Fulham to Middlesbrough. Potentially he could be the striker that Middlesbrough have been craving to be more consistent with goal scoring. And he has looked good from what I've seen last year at Fulham, but he was never really their number 1 choice. I do think Middlesbrough needed to find a recognisable number 1 choice capable to play at this level, like a Dwight Gale, for instance, to really feed some goals to him. But at the moment, I don't know how I feel about Middlesbrough's strategy going forward. I do expect Chris Wilder to eventually turn this around, but how long are we going to allow Middlesbrough to be in this mediocre position? Look at that. They are 23rd place, and considering Coventry are below them, Coventry have only played 2 games based on the problem on their stadium. 0 wins for Middlesbrough, 3 draws, 2 defeats. It's not a great look at all. As with Reading, they're on top of the world and nearly top of the league, only by 1 point. 9 points that they managed to pick up in their opening 15 games. That is a great point return. I said if Reading were going to survive, they needed to take advantage of their brilliant start to the season, and ironically, Reading have picked up points in games I didn't expect them to. We'll see if Reading can keep this form going towards near the end of the season, and who knows, they're probably going to be the one team that completely defied all of us on, because I think all of us predicted Reading to at least be fighting in the relegation zone so far. It may be early days, but we'll see if Reading can keep this going. Now to a win that sent Sheffield United top of the league. They beat Blackburn Rovers by 3-0. Very comfortable in the end. Oliver Norwich scoring the first goal for them there. Ilman Ndiaye for 2 other goals in this game. Sander Berger getting involved in one of them, and then Ndiaye managing to get the third by himself pretty much. And one of the goals, which is absolutely incredible, just the run that he made in terms of one half of the pitch. Ndiaye has shown great confidence there. I don't know how McBurney didn't score either. He had actually some really good chances. Rida Kadra started against his former club. Did alright for me, but I did understand when he was subbed off in the end. And in the end of it, Sheffield United barely had to really flex and go into second gear, really. As soon as they got their opening goal there, I didn't really see Blackburn until that spell there, as you can see from the attack momentum. They didn't really threaten. Look at that. 0 shots on target. And that's not encouraging for this Blackburn side going forward now. They definitely had a really rosy and lovely start, but now we're seeing this Blackburn team does have some holes in it, and it does need a little bit of addressing. It's 2 defeats in a row for them. Sheffield United, since losing in the opening day of the season against Watford, they've gone strength for strength. 3 wins in their last 4 games. So I'm telling you this, I think Sheffield United will be right up there, and I'm now not feeling so nervous now I predicted Sheffield United to finish in the top 2, because right now, if they keep up this form, they're not going to let me down. Stoke are finding things tough so far, but Sunderland are loving life back in the Championship with another win on their belts and another goal for Ross Stewart. He's having a terrific season so far, scoring just before half-time as well, which was a very crucial moment for Sunderland to get the breakthrough. As you can see with the attack momentum, it suggests that Stoke were much better in creating chances, but it shows to me that Stoke are still struggling to find the back of the net. As you can see, 3 shots on target, but 15 shots. For every 5 shots, only 1 of them goes on target, which is very poor for Stoke City there. They really need to be working on that. Only 2 shots on target for Sunderland. I've got to say, in terms of attacking sense, it's actually one of the worst I've seen for Sunderland, but they didn't really need to really be too expansive when they got that goal. They saw that goal, they defended their lead, and fair play to them, because one area that Sunderland were really struggling with this season was keeping clean sheets. And what do they do against Stoke? They keep a clean sheet. So fair play, Sunderland. They've done a really, really good job with that in the end. And actually, if I'm right in saying, I think it is their first clean sheet this season as well. So Sunderland definitely starting to climatise to the Championship and staying competitive. 5th place in the table as well. And not looking like that they're slowing down anytime soon as well. As with Stoke, just above the relegation zone. 3 defeats in their opening 5 games. It's not very encouraging for Stoke at all. With the quality players that they got in that squad for me should be doing more than just picking up 4 points in their opening 5 games. I think serious questions are going to be asked about Michael O'Neill in the next couple of weeks. Another team that will be asking some serious doubts and questions is Swansea, as they are subject to another defeat, this time in the hands of Luton Town, who had not won a game at all in this championship season actually. This is their first win of the season. And very similar story again with Stoke and Sunderland. Luton win, by barely having any control in the attack momentum at all. But when they did have control, they took their chances. In that spike there, Alan Campbell gets a goal. In this spike there, you see Colton Morris getting the second. And Swansea, just a bit similar to Burnley, passing the ball a lot and looking very comfortable on the ball. But they're just not creating enough clear-cut chances. 2 shots on target in 14. That's a worse return rate than what Stokes had. So that's every 7 shots, only 1 of them's on target. Something really needs to be worked on for Swansea there. They're clearly holding the ball too much. It's clearly too predictable to play against them. And it's almost like in a way that Luton are happy to only have 25% of possession, because they know that when the ball breaks for them, they'll manage to get some chances. Blackpool did it against Burnley, and it looks like Luton did it against Swansea as well. And you think, do they ever learn, those 2 teams as well, to even adapt their systems there? Luton, following this win, actually overtakes Swansea in the table as well. Swansea at a certain stage, had a bit of optimism, beating Blackpool very, very late on. But now that they've had this really poor start to the season, 2 defeats, only 5 points. Luton have not had a much better start, but this performance for me is a lot more encouraging for me with seeing these two teams going forward. So for me, I did expect Luton to win at some point and their struggles to finally click. It has clicked now. We're just going to see if they can stay clinical throughout the rest of the season. As for Swansea, they really need to try and work on being clinical, because that's exactly how they didn't beat Luton in this game. The final game of the 3 o'clock kickoff saw a 7-goal thriller at the Hawthorns, which is a sentence that just never makes sense, and a sentence I never thought I'd say. But West Brom pick up their first win of the season, scoring 5 goals, and Hull lose their first game of the season, scoring 2 but conceding 5 goals. Someone's going to have to tell me the last time West Brom scored 5 goals as well. Probably not since in the Premier League some seasons ago, maybe under Tony Pulis. But honestly, it's very uncommon to see, a Steve Bruce team and a West Brom team score 5 goals. But to digest this all in, Callum Elder started the goal scoring with an own goal, 1-0 at half-time, and then suddenly in the second half, we saw 6 goals. 4 for West Brom and 2 for Hull City. So Charles Swift and Furlong and Carl Grant put a commanding lead. A 4-0 up they were at the time, with Carl Grant slotting the penalty. Estupinian, who's had a really good standout season so far, made things a little bit interesting. But Dara O'Shea made it 5-1, with Estupinian again having a great individual performance, but unfortunately overall in the 90 minutes, all the rest of the teammates couldn't offer the same that Estupinian did going forward, unfortunately for them. Statistically wise, it's pretty comprehensive. 16 shots to 7, 7 shots on target to 5, possession 68% to 32%. I'm really intrigued to see if West Brom are going to continue this form, because I've got to say, I think West Brom were very unlucky not to pick up, any wins at all in their opening 4 games, really. I would dare say they deserved a draw against Middlesbrough, but definitely against Watford, I think they deserved something from there. And potentially against Cardiff as well, they really should have got something too. But, nevertheless, they've now got their first win, and we'll see if they can build their season from this. As with Hull, their first defeat of the season, and I've got to say, I did see this coming. Whilst they were winning and then drawing and alternating each time, I did see a small weakness there with Hull City that defensively is a lot to be desired. So, honestly, I could anticipate Hull doing a slight drop and West Brom surging up the table, but you never know with Championship. It's always very unpredictable, which is why, when we all predict things, every one of us is going to get one clanger here and there. And I can already name a couple of clangers that I've already got wrong so far. And then finally, Bristol City 2, Cardiff City 0 in the Severnside derby. Bristol City get the edge in these bragging rights here. I already streamed this, so I will be very, very brief on what I have to say, but you can definitely see that it was a little bit close, actually. There wasn't really one team that was better with the attack momentum. You get one spell from Bristol City, then Cardiff follows it up, and then it kind of takes in turns. The goals came from Tommy Conray, and I've got to say, he by himself has had a great performance. He won the free kick for the second goal as well. I don't think many people are going to know about that, but Conway really wrote, the positives in this game. And he's kept out stiff competition, Conway, to start over the likes of Chris Martin, a very experienced Championship player. But he smashed it. And I've got to say, I felt a bit bad for Cardiff with the circumstances of the first goal. Jack Simpson came on for Joel Bagan. Of course, he had to replace Jaminu Collins, who picked up an injury. Could be a long-term injury as well. And it was Jack Simpson, the substitute, who came on, not really prepared for this game, who got beaten out to the ball by Conway from Naki Wells' cross. So it was a little bit unfortunate for Cardiff that front there, but they really should have scored at least one goal. Max Walters missed a one-on-one chance where Benny made a save. I've got to say, both teams had some really good opportunities. Andy Vyman hit the post at some stage, but both teams had their moments. And it was a really enjoyable game to watch. But Bristol City, I think in the end, slightly edged it for me. 2 wins in a row for Bristol City sees them in the 7th place. And I think finally, once again, like I was saying with West Brom, I think now we're starting to see the results kind of churn into the performances. As with Cardiff, they're now in the mid-table position, which seems about right. There's some good things about them, but obviously some things to work on as well. So I think around the mid-table position for Cardiff sounds about right. But since we're on the table, guys, that's a perfect way for me to finish my analysis and talk through the current table. Sheffield United and Watford in the current top 2 so far on the table. Reading, Blackburn, Sunderland and Hull currently in the top 6. And then with the teams that are really, really struggling so far, you've got to be looking at the likes of Middlesbrough and Coventry. I mean, I can't really count Coventry because they've just been absent from their home games. But Middlesbrough especially struggling. 0 wins in their opening 5 games. Huddersfield, Stoke, Swansea, and I may even throw Luton and Birmingham and QPR in it as well. Looking like that they're going to really struggle this season currently as well. So guys, that wraps up my reaction today of Matchday 5 of the Championship. Let me know guys your thoughts in the comments down below. Make sure you keep your eyes on your community tab so that you can see me post updates on the Predictions League. I'll be trying to upload this week. I may also update you what the week we've got currently planned for the channel in the community tab as well. So all the answers are going to be on the community tab, so make sure you turn your notifications on so you don't miss any of my posts. If you guys like what you see, please give the video a like. It's just tremendously help the channel. Please do hit the subscribe button. It really does help the growth of this channel when you do that. And please share this channel too. That really helps this channel go up to the next level. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary for the story of this video. As always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.